Starting out in Auckland, it's a great city. Downtown Auckland is surprisingly similar to downtown Honolulu. It's similar in scale and in size and in character. The main street is called Queen Street, and it's lined with shops and the banks, the offices up above. Some historic buildings have been preserved from 100 years ago, 140 years ago maybe, the oldest structures in town. And there's a healthy scatter of some modern and contemporary buildings as well. They've done a pretty good job with their historic preservations. It's a city of culture and arts. They have live theater, they have museums, they have art galleries, there's street musicians as well. Auckland is sometimes called the City of Sails because it's surrounded by water. It's on an isthmus with two harbors on either side of it. We'll be showing you the waterfront coming up shortly. And it's a relatively compact downtown. Most hotels are within walking distance of the business center, which makes it very easy to see the sights. And there's various cultural festivals that take place. You might check the calendar and see if anything special is happening in the season that you're coming here. And it really doesn't matter what season you come because the weather is quite pleasant year-round. In the summer, it's not too hot, and in the winter, it's not very cold. So you don't have to worry about planning your visit to match a certain season. When you get down to the South Island, on the other hand, it does get quite cold in their winter, which of course would be in June, July, and August since they're below the equator. Queenstown, for example, is a winter snow capital. There's great skiing. But Auckland up on the North Island is a more temperate climate year-round. There's the bay with its sails, the symbol of the city, and the famous bridge crossing the harbor. It's called Waitemata Harbor, and it's one of the focal points of the city. They estimate there are 10,000 sailboats at the various marinas. Very popular outdoor recreation here. They won the America's Cup back in 1995. That was a great triumph for little New Zealand. It's a small country, really. The population of the city is 1.3 million, and that amounts to 1/3 the total population of the nation. So things really are concentrated here in Auckland, as you can see from the many tall buildings clustered into the downtown. And of course they have a museum. It's a great museum in this case, a museum of history, divided in three parts now. There's natural history, culture history, and war history. They have the largest collection of Maori artifacts, and you really can see the whole story of Polynesia here with their hand-carved fish hooks and such, and a lot of animals on display. They've got native animals, they've got introduced animals, and the arts and crafts. There's some hands-on areas for the younger visitors at the museum. So it's a real great family experience to come on here and spend a few hours. It's called the Auckland Museum. It was originally built back in 1929 as a World War I memorial. There's the Kiwi. There are still some Kiwis running around. And they've got various skeletons of different creatures, and especially the moa bird. Here it is. It grew as big as 9 feet tall, the giant moa. They had several species. It was a flightless bird that was occupying much of the landscape when the first Maoris arrived, and they soon hunted them into extinction within a few hundred years. See the neoclassical rotunda of this Auckland Museum. It was recently refurbished so that each of the 3 levels of the museum relate to their different holdings. They've got a reconstruction of Auckland as it was back in the 1890s. Some original shop fronts. Very impressive display here. They've even found recently some evidence of dinosaurs in New Zealand. And you'll find information about that at the Auckland Museum as well. That was quite a surprise to find that dinosaurs actually existed in New Zealand. Almost impossible, but it's true. Cricket, one of the national sports, along with rugby and soccer, or as they would say, football. We happened to pass by a wedding, always a romantic scene to take a picture of as you're cruising along on your city tour on the bus. And now we're passing through Parnell Village. This has become a very hip and upscale part of town. Back in the 1950s, it was pretty seedy and falling apart and a nothing suburb, but Parnell has been rejuvenated as to a place where the hipsters hang out in their coffee shops, and there's some evening entertainment out there and good shopping. It got started back in the 70s because they allowed the shops to open on Saturdays, which was unusual. And now we're back in the heart of town. We're going up the tower. It's the highest point in the city, and it's the tallest building in New Zealand. A dramatic glass elevator takes you up to the top of the Sky Tower, and up there's a nice restaurant. Or you could just go to the observation deck. But as long as you're up here, you might as well sit back and enjoy the meal, and it's a rotating experience. So in an hour you go all the way around, looking down into the different parts of the city. You are right in the heart of downtown in dead center. There's the University District, and our hotel, the Hyatt, is just beyond. This tower is about 1,000 feet high, 328 meters. So it's like as high as the Eiffel Tower in Paris. And it's fun. On the ground floor now, they've got a casino, a relative newcomer, so you can gamble yourself away down on the ground floor, but otherwise just come on up top, enjoy the meal, and watch the city change down below as you rotate around. Might come at twilight for that changing view from daytime into night, and stretch out the meal for a couple of hours as long as you're up there. We are going to be leaving Auckland now. That was our visit to the City of Sails